Hello everybody, welcome to The Take. I'm your host, Krishna Mano, and in today's episode, I will be interviewing the businessman turned elected official who ran in Michigan's 2018 gubernatorial Democratic primary election, successfully won the representative seat in Michigan's 3rd State House district near the Detroit area, and is on track to win Michigan's 13th district U.S. House seat. Please welcome to the show, Representative Shri Thanedar. Representative Thanedar, thank you so much for joining me in today's episode of the show. It's an honor to have the opportunity to talk to you.
Krishna, thanks for having me. This is interesting. This is very unusual. You're my youngest interviewer.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm excited. Let's get going.
Perfect. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your childhood, and how you currently serve our community?
Yes. I am an immigrant. I immigrated to the United States when I was 24 years old. I had a bachelor's in chemistry, a master's in chemistry when I came, and I came to get my PhD degree in chemistry. I grew up in southern India, 6 sisters, a brother, grew up in dire poverty. We slept on the floor. We ate on the floor. Sometimes we didn't know where our next meal is going to come from. There was no running water in the house. So this was a tough time taking care of my family's health care. And I worked as a janitor when I was in college so I can support my family. So I understand how, the working families struggle to make ends meet, take care of their family, put food on the table, take care of healthcare. So that's where I come from, having lived a life and having lived the struggle.
And like you said, you have talked a lot about how you were born into poverty back in India, and you had to work from a young age as a janitor, like you discussed, to support your large family. How have these experiences of the past helped you connect with your constituents and actually understand their concerns about healthcare and education?
13th district is one of the poorest congressional districts in the nation. People are struggling with everyday life needs. Auto insurance is very, very expensive in Detroit area. Healthcare, the COVID exposed the healthcare inequities. And Detroit, the city of Detroit suffered the most in COVID because we do not have nationalized healthcare. So one of the things I'm very passionate about is Medicare for all. We are one of the only developed nations that do not provide health care to all of our citizens. Even today, 20 to 30 million Americans do not have health care. Often people are concerned that a major healthcare crisis may put them into bankruptcy. And it is important that a nation as rich as ours must cover healthcare needs of every American so that no American would be concerned about this basic fundamental human right, which is what I consider healthcare is. And I'm going to be fighting for that in the halls of Congress to ensure that every American has health care covered.
Definitely. And when you put it like that, it seems like when you say it's a fundamental right, it seems like it's common sense that everyone should be able to take care of their own health with the help of governmental resources. And when you see people who are opposing that, it's almost like you need to help your constituents. That's why you're in power. So thank you so much for doing that and staying true to your word throughout your campaigns.
Yes.
And speaking more about yourself and your stories, every immigrant has their own story of living through the American dream. So could you please share a little bit about how you came here with limited resources, right? Like $20 in your pocket, and turned that into a stream of endless opportunities?
Well, yes, America is the land of opportunity. Many immigrants came to this country looking for opportunities, and in the process, they worked hard and they achieved their American dream. The way I look at American dream is any desire, any wish you want to do better for yourself. An American dream in my mind is our children succeeding, doing better than their parents did, having more opportunities for our children to grow and achieve their dreams, whatever they may be. In my case, I wanted to be a small business owner, a successful business person. Having grown up in poverty, that was one of my goals, was to be financially independent. And I was able to do that. And this is a great country, and this country provides those opportunities. So I got my PhD, worked as a chemist, then started a small business that grew into about 500 employees. My business developed new medicine. My business, invented. I'm an innovator. I'm a scientist, and we invented new medicine. We help small entrepreneurial companies to develop new products. So that was my business was about. So I'm really excited and glad that I was able to achieve my American dream. But when I travel across the country, especially when I travel in areas like Detroit, many urban population, young people do not have the hope, and they don't feel that they can achieve their dreams. Many reasons. Part of the reason is decades of racial discrimination, the widening gap between the rich and the poor, not being able to taught entrepreneurship in high schools. People need to learn skills, trade skills, business skills, entrepreneurial skills in high school, so they can make right decisions, get the right skills to develop their dreams and achieve small business ownership, say, for example. And as I travel across the nation, I see these opportunities are not as accessible and available to people. And one of the reasons why I'm passionate about public service, and the reason I gave up my business and decided to enter public service, is to help people at the bottom to acquire skills, trade skills, get good paying jobs, learn about entrepreneurship. I propose bills in the Michigan State House that will create a reparation and racial equity fund that will give out loans, seed loans, business startup loans. We need to create that atmosphere and bring that level of prosperity, not just in the hands of the few, but people at the bottom of this economic scale. We need to close this gap between the rich and the ultra rich and the people at the bottom of this economic cycle.
Definitely. And a lot of my teachers used to say that education is where dreams become reality. And specifically for you, when you got your PhD, you have always said that education was your ladder out of poverty and into success. And you also say that that ladder is missing for many children and young adults in the status quo. So how have you helped bring this ladder to the constituents in your state house district? And if elected to the United States House in November, how do you plan to allow education to be easily accessible for everyone across the country?
Yeah, good question. In the state house, as a state representative from Detroit, I served on the budget committees, which is we call appropriations committees. So the school aid committee, the Department of Education. So I was instrumental working with the governor to bring two of the biggest budgets, state budgets, 75 plus $1 billion budgets, without raising a single dollar of additional taxes. Uh, we also had two of the biggest education budgets. And I'm so glad to say that I was part of the team that brought in $1.2 billion of funds to Detroit public schools. When I started my campaigning, I saw our schools in Detroit area needed, resources. It needed better buildings, HVAC that wasn't working. There's water on the gym floor. Facility needed to be improved in the schools. And I'm happy to say, we have $500 million funding now available to Detroit public schools to build 5 new buildings, new school buildings, more resources for school, better pay, better incentives for teachers. So we were able to do a lot in the educational budget. And for the first time, the 2 years that I served on the education budget committee, we were able to bring per pupil equity across Michigan. And that will go a long way in bringing quality education to every child in Michigan, no matter what zip code he or she lives in.
Thank you. And speaking about your experiences in education as well, it must have been so disappointing for you to see, as someone who's experienced poverty back in India, that so many of the kids here in the modern day world in Detroit and across the country have to go through the same things that you went through, but decades ago. So to see that progress hasn't been made in specific sectors in education, that must have really sparked your interest in taking down this problem.
That's right, and that's why I decided. I had a great business. It was very profitable. I shared the profits with my employees every year. And at one time, I realized that there has to be more to my life than just owning a business and making it more successful for the benefit of my family and my employees. So I said, I want to devote rest of my life in public service. And with that thought, I gave up my very, very profitable business. When I sold the business, I took $1.5 million and gave equally to all of my 50 employees. I have a great work ethic. When I went to the state house, and not many state reps can say this, but I had never missed a single vote. I never missed a single house session, never missed a single committee meeting or a committee vote. So I'm always there working, fighting for my constituents. So that's the kind of work ethic people will get when I go work in the nation's capital in the United States Congress.
Definitely. And from what you described yourself as, you were like the perfect politician and elected official that every district in the United States of America needs. So thank you so much for your service. And speaking to one of your previous campaigns, you ran for governor back in 2018 and had 3 main positions for your campaign: hold businesses accountable for paying taxes and increasing the minimum wage, provide education for all, and ensure that everyone can afford healthcare, a basic right. And you yourself started and owned multiple successful businesses in the world of research, like you said. And one would imagine that a business owner would want less taxes unless they were a truly genuine citizen like you. So how have your corporate experiences helped you understand the problems with how big companies deal with taxes and specifically evading them? So basically, have you recognized any loopholes that should be closed to ensure that everyone pays their fair share to the government?
Yes, absolutely. The corporations must pay their fair share, and it doesn't happen. Many of the corporations pay 0 taxes, even though my corporation and me personally always paid my share of taxes. The recent Inflation Reduction Act that just got passed and signed into law puts a minimum 15% tax on all corporations. And that's a great start. But that needs to be graduated. So when I go to Congress, I will propose that corporations pay taxes in proportion to the amount of profits that they make. 15% should be bare minimum, but that scale needs to go up to 30, 35%, so that we can then have the dollars, the money needed to lift up people, the working families, the poor. A country such as affluent as we are, we should not have 20, 30% of our population living at or below poverty. So my focus is going to be providing the basic needs to all Americans, healthcare, raising the minimum wage. And I fought to raise the minimum wage to $15, but in the current economy, $15 is not a living wage. We need to take this up to $20 to maybe $23 for it to become a living wage, where a person who is working 40 hours a week on minimum wage is able to live with dignity and be able to pay for the necessities of life. And that's the minimum we could do for our residents.
Definitely. And it's so scary to see a country in which these people who are struggling to put meals on the table, who have something less than the minimum wage, that's not a living wage, has to pay more taxes than these large corporations where their CEOs benefit from paying $0 in taxes. And on a more personal note about your campaign, what sparked your interest back in 2018 to switch careers from the field of scientific research to becoming an elected official? Because those are completely different things.
Yes. So as a scientist, and as a business owner, I did well for my family. But at some point, I felt that coming here as an immigrant with nothing, and this great country of ours has given me so much. This great country has given me opportunity to succeed, be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, do good for my family. And now that my family is doing good, my children are doing good, I felt there has to be more to life than just doing good for myself. It is time I felt that I need to give back. And with that thought, I said the best way for me to serve the people, give back to the community that I grew, is to be in public service and use the government resources to make people's lives better. And with that goal in mind, improving the quality of life for every American, I entered into politics. I did not succeed. As you know, I won the city of Detroit in the gubernatorial primary, but I did not win that election. And I did not get discouraged. I did not stop. I said, I'm going to stay in public service. I took a lesser office, a smaller office, a state rep office, and I worked hard in that. And the constituents who elected me there then were enthusiastically elected me to the United States Congress in the primaries that just finished. And so I'm grateful to the people of Detroit. I'm grateful to the people of Downriver who elected me in the Democratic primary. And I expect to be victorious in November, and look forward to this opportunity to serve 750,000 people of my district in the United States Congress, achieving racial equity, achieving economic equity, achieving social justice, fighting for healthcare, fighting for workers' rights, fighting for women's rights. That's what I would be doing in the nation's capital. And having come from an immigrant background, having been an entrepreneur, small business owner, having lived in poverty, I have an understanding of the working people's struggle, and I will be fighting for them every day in the United States Congress.
And I have no doubt that you will win this upcoming election because you have all of these experiences in the past that allow you to connect with these 750,000 constituents. So they would be hiding under a rock if they didn't vote for you. And to wrap things up, in terms of connecting with your constituents, one of the main ways you've done that is through your advertisements. And your advertisements regarding potholes are by far the funniest campaign ones I have ever seen. They get the message across, but in an entertaining way. And for the viewers, if you don't know what I'm talking about, here is a sample of one of Representative Thanedar's campaign advertisements.
Some Michigan potholes are so big you can see them from space. Hey Buzz, can you see them?
Roger, some new potholes on 94.
It's embarrassing, you know.
Agree, vote for Shri.
Who's Roger?
So I must ask Representative Thanedar, who is behind these ads?
Well, some of those concepts are mine, but I have a team of really good people. And what I instructed them to do was to communicate our message. But, most of the political advertisement is very boring. And people get tired of seeing those political ads, especially just before the election. There is so much of that. And I wanted to communicate my message in a little more entertaining way so it will stick and people would watch it without getting bored. And that's why I did those ads.
Right, and my fellow students, we love going on YouTube, but every time before a video, we have to see advertisements. And most of the time during these election seasons, they're always political with the politicians saying, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this if you elect me. But yours, I'm actually looking forward to watching yours because they have really funny content that actually show what constituents are worried about.
That's right.
Thank you, Representative Thanedar, for joining me on the show, and I wish you the best of luck for the midterms in November.
Thank you. Thank you for being so conscious politically, civically, and doing what you do. And encourage your other young friends to also participate in the political process. It is important that we go vote. It is important that we participate in our political process to make our democracy stronger and better. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.